it's like a backlit mountain kind of shot. Got 50mm vertical. Let's check the shutter speed. I'm gonna have to go up to about f5.6, and let's see. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, so let's edit this photo into a black and white and print it out and see how it goes. Okay, so if you saw before, you'll see this edit. This is the actual final edit that I had, and it was actually coming from this file, which is quite a bit different. I only took one photo, sorry, and I didn't do any bracketing. I basically just pulled over, saw this composition, and took a handheld shot. So what we'll do is we'll do a 5x4 crop and turn it into black and white and just sort of bring up those levels and sort of even it out for print. Okay, first things first is let's just get a bit of the shadows in there, and then we'll apply the crop. Okay, so I'm hitting R there to go to the shortcut. 5x4 crop in the aspect ratio up here, and we'll just make sure the ground is level, just about there, I think. Now, framing. I don't want to chop off this bit. I want to sort of have the edge of the frame have a bit of a margin with these clouds. So what I'll do is I think that looks pretty good there. Okay, now my black and white. You can actually just go over here and use the black and white tool, and then you can set your different mix of colors. But what I'm going to do is use the Viscofilm Kodak Tri-X preset, which already does its own sort of mix, and then we're going to start from there. So what I can see straight away is that the shadows are quite low in this photograph. I shot a backlit photo, so I knew that I had some detail in those shadows in the raw file. So I'll just pull up the shadows there just to even it out. What I think I might do is just brighten up the whole photograph, maybe 0.3 of a stop. Let's just check that. I think I probably can go brighter. I'm not too worried about these actual clouds. We can sort of attenuate those highlights a little bit, but I actually don't mind if they are quite bright, because that's what the actual feeling of the scene was. So what I'll do next is just use that clarity slider a bit. Just put a bit more in. And I think I want to bring out a little bit more of the definition of these mountain ranges. So let's pull up the brush tool and reset the shadows, put the clarity slider on about 25. Turn off water mask for this because we're just going to brush over the mountains, and we'll go from there. Really subtle. This is just sort of enhancing those areas without leading to that haloing effect that you often see. So if we pull this right up, you get these awful halos right here. So if we pull that back down to about there, that's pretty nice, I think. Okay, back to here. Let's pull up the shadows a little bit more, and also pull up the exposure even more. One of the things you have to be careful about in print is your black levels. It's easier to end up with a overly rich dark print that isn't right, and so you need to boost up the brightness just a bit more than you would probably expect. So let's just pull back those highlights a bit up in here just to get those clouds a bit more smooth. Okay, I think that's just about it for the actual exposure balance. Now what I want to do is just bring out a bit of this detail in that hill just over here. It's a bit too black, and that'll come out as a deep black in the print. So what I'll do is pull up the brush again. Let's just pull up the shadows. We can adjust this later, of course. Let's just zoom in there and just paint across here. We can adjust the actual brush pattern by using the erase tool. What I want to do is get rid of this area which was affected by the large brush. So we'll use that to paint back in. Let's turn our flow up. Okay, that looks pretty nice. What I might do is just even out this bit a bit. Just turn the flow down so it doesn't affect it quite as much as the rest of it. And we'll just sort of paint until it feels like it's a smooth, nice smooth transition. Okay, so that's pretty nice. Now what I want to do is maybe just to bring it a little bit more up. So we'll go 45 in the shadows. Now if we zoom out, we can check that. I think I might do a little bit more just to take away the emphasis on that mountain, that little hill there. So, okay, now I think there could, just looking at it, I think there could be a little bit more in the crop down to the bottom, just to give yourself a bit of a margin. I think that's nice. Okay, I think that's pretty good for me. So what I'll do is we'll just go in close and dial in some sharpening. I think that's probably as sharp as I want it before the print sharpening it gets applied. And what I'll just do is check my grain setting, just to add a little bit of that texture back in so that you can, it's really subtle, you almost don't see it in the print, but everything helps to just add a little bit of texture to the actual final print, and it's a bit more pleasing on the eye, really subtly though. What I might do, I've just spotted this little tuft of cloud there. While I normally wouldn't do this, I think it probably just doesn't need to be there. It's a little bit distracting, so let's just use the spot removal tool to remove that little tiny bit of cloud. Okay, so let's zoom out. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. We can give that a shot now. Let's go to the print tab. Okay, I've got something set already here. So what I'm going to do is pull up my, I might print this on A4 first using the Ilford Gold Fibre Gloss paper. It's a really nice darkroom style digital paper. So let's see, A4 single vertical. This is the template that I've used. What I might do is change this for this 5x4 print because it's a bit different. So I might maximize these just to see how it looks, and then use my margins to dial in that final sort of shape. So 11x8. Okay, so I'll do a little bit of math here. Let's try 8 inches on the height divided by 5 times 4 is 6.4 inches on the length. Okay. Yeah, that's a nice margin, I think. What I would probably end up doing is cropping off the tops and the bottoms of this paper. We want to, of course, uncheck zoom to fill, even though we've said exactly what the cell size is. Then we want to go down to the print settings, set that print resolution to whatever highest value you can set for your printer. 720 is plenty for this Epson P600 that I'm printing on. Want to use glossy standard level sharpening. I'm using a premium semi-gloss paper, and so that'll just help to boost the details a little bit in the final output. Okay, so we'll pull up the printer settings and I'll just go turn on the printer. Okay, so what I realized when I was setting up the printer was that I hadn't actually checked my printing profile. This is really important just to make sure that you're not printing anything out of gamut or too dark and too light. So you go back into the Develop tab, hit the S key, that'll bring up the proof preview. What I need to then do is change my profile to the Ilford Gold Fibre Gloss for the Epson P600. It actually looks pretty good. Just check my histogram. Everything is pretty good. My general exposure is on the sort of left side of middle, which is good. Those highlights are nice and bright. Contrast, I think I'll just have a look at that. Yeah, no, that's pretty good. Okay, I think I'm ready to print. Let's go back to the paper print layout and pull up the printer settings again. Change to the Epson P600. Okay, now we want to choose the semi-gloss black and white preset that I've chosen here, which sets the paper type to Epson Premium Semi-Gloss, which is what this Ilford Gold Fibre Gloss paper is. And we want to use the advanced black and white photo printing setting and photo resolution. We don't need to worry about high speed again because we've got plenty of time. And yeah, let's hit the print button. Okay, so here's the print. Looks exactly how I did it on the screen. So once again, the most important things are your printing profiles for the printer with the paper that you're using, and then also the monitor calibration, making sure it's not too bright. I actually have my iMac set to 50% brightness, and that's been pretty accurate for me. The problem if you have your monitor too bright, it might be alluring to make your monitor really bright and nice and vivid. But the problem when you're printing is that you compensate for that brightness in the monitor by making the photo too dark. And when you print it, it'll just come out too dark and the blacks will be black and the whites will be sort of grayish. So, and in turn the opposite, if your monitor's too dim, you'll make your photo brighter than it should be when it goes to print. So just make sure your monitor's set nice and sort of mid-range brightness, roughly what the paper is under nice bright light. So once you've done that, and then if you also use your profiles, then you can print it pretty much exactly how you want it straight out of Lightroom. So this is the Ilford Gold Fibre Gloss paper. You can see it's sort of like a semi-gloss. It's got a little bit of a luster to it, but it's got this beautiful, nice texture. I'll see if I can't get it to go in there. But just one of my favorite papers. I wish they made 5x7s, but they don't. But yeah, so happy printing, and I'll see you next time, hopefully out in the field. Bye.
Lost in the sight of you alone. Here I'll stay till dawn. The breeze in the sky.